Right, so I've spent about 5 minutes just mucking around with the parameters here for the spectrum template, trying to get a good match, and I think I've got something that's quite close. Something that I found quite useful once I got the rough outline was to go down here and turn off the control points. The control points are those red dots that appear on the splines themselves, and they're the points that actually completely define the shape of the spline. You can see though here, because the corners are quite small on the spectrum, they really obscure your view of whether or not you've got a good match. So once I got close, or what I thought was close, I just went down here, turned off those, just to double check that it was all good. I've also shifted around the fin inserts just to line up with what I could see on the image here. Now you don't need to be worried about the fact that it's a channel type. When it exports, you have an option to make those just single points or of channel type. So I'm pretty happy with that. Get a better view of it by going over to the outline template and just having a look to make sure. This is a sanity check step. One thing to look out for when you're doing this view and you don't have all the clutter of the image behind it is just to check out the corners in particular, that you don't have any unusual sort of wavy lines. The continuity conditions that are enforced on the splines as you come out of the mezzanine section into the corner can often cause it to have these small sort of waviness about them, these unusual curves, and it's actually much easier to pick them up on this page than it is over on the outline parameters where you've got a much smaller view of things. So anyhow, this all looks fine. I'm pretty happy with that. So I want to export it to a DXF file now. So first thing I want to do though is go back here and just set some of the parameters for the exporting. So do I want to reduce the outline for the rail size? So rail is set up in here by default as 9mm. I'm not going to at the moment, just for demonstrative purposes. Do I want to show the fin inserts? Yes. Foot pads and inserts? Yep. And do I want to show the center lines? So the second part of this is when exporting when exporting to DXF, it will show the center lines, and this is really good because it's much easier to then locate exactly where you need to drill, rather than having to work out where the center of the circle is. That would get drawn if you did include the center lines. So just over to the outline templates, up here to the desktop, exporting it as a DXF, save that down, and then we should find that on the top here. And this is just opening up in my favourite CAD program, and it pops open, and there you go, there's the outline for the board. It's a little bit kinked down here, but that's just because it's scaled down, but this is actually a one-to-one scale image. And I'll just open this up using ACAD 9, which is a free CAD program that I've been mucking around with. If I hadn't have selected that option back here to export the center lines, then the template that I would have ended up showing here wouldn't have had obviously any of the center lines showing up on any of the elements here. I don't know why I can't get it to unselect. I wouldn't have had any of these center lines, and I've run into problems when making my boards myself, trying to relocate the center of those and having them just skew, and it does actually end up looking a bit dodgy. So there you have it. That's how we trace the outline.